Welcome back to another thing. More and more athletes are taking a knee or not standing up or putting a fist in the air during the national anthem. Is that an appropriate expression of the First Amendment, or is that dishonoring the flag and our veterans? That's the topic for the second segment. Brandon Robinson is a sports entertainment reporter at CBS Radio, and Steve Rogers is a former commander of the U.S. Navy and also a former detective lieutenant. Thank you both for being here. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So how do you feel about it?
Johnny on the spot. I have mixed reviews about it. I think on one hand, I can see how folks in law enforcement can see how it's unpatriotic, but on the other hand, I think it's a chance that he can draw attention to the issue. I mean, listen, he's been in a peaceful manner. He's kneeled down. At the same time, I think a lot of times athletes get heat for not being or standing on their toes about anything in particular.
Let me just challenge you on the last part for a moment, because the issue had attention. Mm-hmm. I mean, was nobody talking about the issue before he took a knee? I think everybody was talking about it. It seemed to me like he was calling attention to himself.
Well, I take that and raise you this. You're playing for Chip Kelly. You want to get traded. You're a 1-4 team. You lost the other night. On one hand, I do think he's trying to get traded and drawing attention to it. But on the other hand, I do think that in an age where athletes get gargantuan amount of contracts, people have gone silent. I think this summer where you saw Chris Paul, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony appear at the ESPY Awards and actually draw attention to it, whether it's to boost their morale or their contracts or what have you. Jim Brown is still alive, and he's often criticized folks.
But the NBA players weren't dishonoring anybody. No. And is it dishonoring? Is it truly dishonoring veterans to not stand for the flag?
Look, he has every right under the First Amendment to express himself in this manner. But because he has that right doesn't make it right. Look, he says that he has taken this action because of the oppressiveness of the minority community. Now, let me show you something. See this here? This is the American flag. He dishonored this flag and said that he dishonored it or said that he expressed his First Amendment right because of oppressiveness. Is Barack Obama oppressed? Is Condoleezza Rice oppressed? Is the Attorney General Loretta Lynch oppressed? They're not oppressed, all right? But the thing he doesn't do, and this is how hypocritical it is, I'll show you this. This is green. This is not red, white, and blue. If he truly believes in what he said, he would not be accepting the $1 million checks that he's getting and fueling the economy of the very nation he says is oppressive. So my point is this. I agree with you, my friend, and I agree with you that to the point that he has drawn attention to himself. He served no purpose other to add fuel to the fires of division in this country, especially when we're at war. So saying that, yes, he has the right, but that isn't the thing to do. And if anyone could show me where Martin Luther King, who I revere as a great leader, ashamed the American flag, then I might agree with you. But King had it right.
Everybody says he has a First Amendment right to do this. You know, I tell my kids the First Amendment stops at my door. The NFL owns those TV rights. The NFL owns that field. The NFL owns the teams, or has a relationship with the teams and allows them to play. They could stop him.
Yes, but they're not. But they're not, because it's a business at the end of the day, $1 billion business. Right. Why would you tell them to stop when people are tuning in, where right before a game is being played, a news affiliate is tweeting, Colin Kaepernick is not standing for the anthem again?
And that's wrong.
And when you talked about the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, I want you guys to look up a name. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf played for the Denver Nuggets, a guy who was a Muslim who prayed like this, Muslim, during the national anthem. He's not as talented as Colin Kaepernick is on the football field, but he was blackballed, no pun intended, for his stance against the national anthem.
And we're getting out of time, but Steve, I'll give you the last word.
Okay, you mentioned that the NFL could stop it. I believe in some cases we could stop it, because I know, and I could be wrong on this, it may have changed, that the stadiums, all right, don't pay taxes, all right? They're funded by the people who live in each state. If you come into my house, one of those stadiums, you better darn be sure you stand up for that flag, or don't come to my house.
It's amazing that the NFL and the teams aren't getting any blame. And since I expressed an opinion by saying that's wrong, I do want to explain that. And that is, if he's doing it because of a social ill, that's one thing. There is some, you may not agree with him, but you understand that and you can respect that position. If he's doing it for himself, that's wrong. If the NFL is doing it for ratings, that's wrong. There's something despicable.
Freedom of speech, you have control over. The consequences that come from that, That's a whole topic altogether.
And we'll end with that. Brandon Robinson, you guys were great. Sports entertainment reporter at CBS Radio, and Steve Rogers, former commander of the U.S. Navy and a former detective lieutenant. When another thing continues, dawn is up.